Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we have another brand new Safari LTD release for the year of 2023. We actually have the return of an awesome figure because the Kentrosaurus is back. This is a figure that had been released from Safari LTD many years ago, but had a very small run and then was retired, unfortunately. So it was a very hard figure to get a hold of and to find at all, and luckily for us, they now have brought the figure back, but with a whole new paint scheme for it. And before we get any further into the review, I do want to give a huge shout out and a thank you to Safari LTD, as always, for being absolutely incredible and supplying me with this awesome figure a little bit early, sending it over to me so I can take a look at it with you guys again and check it out before it actually releases. And I also need to give them a thank you because they have supplied me with a discount code. If you have watched my previous review of the Stegosaurus or any of the 2023 releases, you may have already heard about it, but I have a code for you guys to use on the Safari LTD website to get you 15% off of your order if you would like to use the code ANDY at checkout and save yourself some money. You can again save 15% off of this when it comes into stock or any other figures that are on the Safari LTD website. Just make sure you use the code ANDY. But again, the figure looks really cool, actually, even better in person. Definitely a very nice, very vibrant color scheme that will certainly stand out, that's for sure. So, as always, let's go ahead and jump straight to a closer look at it and check it out from there. Now, this is technically a figure that I have already reviewed in the past because we did review the original green version quite a ways back, probably a few years ago at this point. So that means we don't really need to take a look at the actual sculpt or anything. We don't need to go over that aspect of the figure because nothing seems to have changed as far as that goes. So the actual sculpt itself appears to be the same. So that means we really only need to go over what is different between the older one and this one, and that would be the paint apps. And I will say the paint apps look fantastic on this. But if you get nice and close and you start up here at the head, you can see we've got a really cool bright orange for the head, like a really nice, oh wow, we really cannot focus, there we go, really nice bright orange for the head and face of the Kentrosaurus. And look at how small that head sculpt is. It's so tiny, like that fits within my fingertip with ease. But it is a really nicely sculpted figure, I can say. It's definitely a nice looking head sculpt, again, considering how small it is. You can see the eye is painted with a black. As you begin to move back here into the neck of the Kentrosaurus, you start to see the orange kind of transition to a slightly different shade of orange, but you also have a nice blue picking up. And not just one variation of blue, you actually have a few different variations, actually, of blue. Technically, I would say like 3. Because first of all, you have this really nice vibrant blue right here that begins to pick up. You also have a darker blue that runs along the plates, but not just the plates. You can see as you move up a little bit further, it also runs along the top of the spinal column and the top of the back of the dinosaur. But on top of that, as you lead up along through the course of the figure, you can also see an even lighter blue has been used to dry brush out the plates of the figure, and that really helps to highlight all of that sculpt and detail up there in the plates. Definitely looks really cool, and you continue to see that as you move through the course of the entire figure here in the back. That light blue really makes all of that detail pop. And again, we also have that darker blue here for the majority of the upper side, definitely overtaking that entire area of the Kentrosaurus. And then when you move down, you see that that lighter blue that we saw at first kind of runs along underneath the darker blue, following through the course of the entire figure. Then when you move down from there, you also have these really nice oranges here on the side of the dinosaur, but not just those oranges. And in fact, you can actually see the bright, vibrant orange that we have, almost like a red orange of the face, showing up here in a few different areas. But you also have some yellows, which you can see there in the center of the stomach. And I believe we could see that same thing. Yes, definitely see the same thing over here. You can really see how nice that yellow looks right there in the stomach region of the Kentrosaurus. And you also have some of those bluish tones kind of running along the upper side of the shoulder spike. Then when you come down here to the underside of the shoulder spike, it has more of like a yellowish sort of appearance to it. And you can also see some of the oranges here at the base of that shoulder spike. On top of that, which again, that's a lot of coloration to begin with, but as you move down from the oranges here to the underside, you can also see a really nice white tone for the underbelly of the dinosaur, and you can see the transition down to that area looks really smooth, and the transition as a whole looks really nice the entire way out. You can see again the lighter tone runs the entire course of the underside of the figure. You can also see the undersides of the feet are painted with that white as well. So that's really about it, I would say, as far as the coloration goes. I think we've covered it all. Definitely a striking look for a Kentrosaurus, and just like with the Stegosaurus, I think it looks so much better in person than it did on the original prototype images. Definitely a beautiful version of this figure. Now, as far as a size goes, for a length from the snout to the tip of the tail, about 5 inches, or right around 12.5 centimeters, maybe a little bit over. And then for a height, the highest point is at about 2.25 inches, or just shy of 6 centimeters. Now, I don't think we really need to do comparisons or anything, and we really didn't even need to do the measurement because, like I said, we've already reviewed the figure in the past. So again, if you want to see a more detailed look at the actual sculpt and everything like that, and of course comparisons, check out the original review of this. But there is still one comparison I would like to do, and that is with the older version of this Kentrosaurus here next to the newer one. And boy, do they ever look super cool together. It is neat to see, again, this figure return. And one thing I will say straight away that I actually like a lot more about the newer one over the older one is the fact that if you can look and see the older one, the eye is absolutely gigantic because they tried to paint it with a yellow and give it a black pupil. Whereas now we've just gone with a black for the eye, and considering how small the eye is, I think that helps the figure out and definitely looks nicer than trying to add various tones of color. Because when you have a head sculpt that small and an eye that small, it's going to be very hard to get a nice coloration in that area that is going to look natural. So I think going with just the black eye was a nice choice. But again, you can see what the older one looked like compared to the newer one. I'm not too sure which one I prefer. I think I like both just for different reasons. Like, I really like the nice natural tones of color for the older one, but I also love the flashy coloration of the newer one. So they're two beautiful interpretations of the Kentrosaurus for sure, but I'm just in general excited to see this figure back here in the Safari LTD line. So this brand new 2023 Safari LTD Kentrosaurus is absolutely awesome. Honestly, it's so much better than I expected it to be. When I had first seen the colors of it, I was like a little bit thrown off because it was just, so bright and colorful for something like this. But it's just like with the Stegosaurus, where once I saw it in person, my opinions completely changed on the coloration of it. Same deal here for this Kentrosaurus. I think it looks phenomenal in person, and it's just so flashy. It is without a question a type of figure that will stand out on your shelf because of the beautiful tones of color applied to it. Maybe you could look at this as being the male and the older one would have been the female, because the female is a little bit darker, or at least you would expect it to be. And maybe the male would be a little bit brighter, again, to attract a mate or something like that. But I think they've done a great job of choosing the colors for this one. All of the transitions back and forth are really smooth, and they also have applied so much paintwork to it, even more so than I expected. It helps to add a lot of, coloration to it, a lot of color variation and skin color, which is definitely a really nice realistic aspect. And the dry brushing of the plates was a really nice touch. Very subtle, but very nice. So again, another figure that isn't quite in stock yet, but absolutely will be soon. As I said earlier, make sure if you are going to order this or any other Safari LTD figures on the website, again on the Safari LTD website, use the code ANDY at checkout. Save yourself 15% off on your order. And of course, definitely pick this figure up as soon as it is in stock. And also like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.